Come, let us spin a tale of lies, thieves, and assets in 60 seconds.
This is the W2 Report with Sanji Homura. Here's Sanji.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of the W2 Report. I am your host, Sanji Homura. I am joined, as always, by Lord Crocker Squirrel, who will go over the ground rules.
Rule number 1, be not the dick. Rule number 2, if you are being the dick, please refer to rule number 1. Rule number 3, if you keep being the dick, we will find you.
All right. And introducing our third man in the ring today, Mr. Lindgren.
Hello, mortals. That's
And-
all I got.
and introducing, as always, bringing up the rear with the gear, Mr. Vaughn.
I don't like the phrase "bringing up the rear." That sounds like a sexual preference, and that's not me.
No.
Do you like the junk in your
The whole
trunk?
part,
Look, man.
there was a whole part about the gear, which means your job is to make sure that the gear is working as expected.
I'm not a doctor.
You don't need to be a doctor.
We just need you to be an ass.
Oh, and you have to cart the ammo too.
Oh, okay. I was going to have to do taxes. I'm okay with that.
Before we go into today's story, first, we need to relay a little story. 2 years
After we
ago,
apologize for going back on our word for not doing any more W-2s until the end of the year show.
yes. Yes. First, we need to relay a little story. 2 years ago, there was a little game called Kumo, A Boy in the Clouds. As you could probably see by this tree that you're seeing on your screen right now, Kumo's developer, Mr. Benjamin Gregg, happens to have been caught doing a little asset thieving on Tequila Works' Rhyme.
See, this is the tree that launched 1,000 nukes.
Yes. And
after that, we found much more.
yes. We actually sat down with Benjamin Gregg for roughly an hour.
Yeah, about that.
And we got a lot out of him in that hour. So if you wish to see that interview live, watch the episode as it happened. Watch the episode. Happy Little Treats. It'll be available on our channel. But after this episode, of course. But that isn't what we're here to talk about today. We're not here to talk about going down memory lane. We're here to talk about a different kind of asset theft. Today, we're here to talk about Operation Harsh Doorstop and their brand of being victims of asset thieving themselves. Now, yes, an Italian outfit called Seba Games decided to download their mod kit for Operation Harsh Doorstop, thinking it was free assets for them to use in their game Venatur. And
Sure.
well, however you pronounce it, this game wanted $40 for early access. And it's not even early access. It was an early beta test. And what happened after that was the stuff of, shall we say, legends. As you could plainly see, people started to notice assets being used from Operation Harsh Doorstop. Let's go over in somewhat more detail what assets were used and how they were used.
No, these are the ones we've found to date. There are likely more.
Yes, there are more. We're just pointing out some rather blatant examples for you today. Now, this gas pump, for example. Now before the show, Squirrel, you pointed out in rather large detail, how this pump was copied 1-for-1 in Venatur. Venatur. So while I cycle back and forth in between these two slides, explain to the nice folks at home how this gas pump was copied from the mod kit.
Well, quite frankly, as far as I can tell, it was partially retextured, but that was about it. But if you look at the hoses right here on the front of the pump, okay, because the things that are indicated are all texture based, okay, which is fine. That's a thing. But if you look at the hoses between this slide and the next one, you will discover that they are of exactly the same shape, even though the lighting is different. It is difficult at best to do this unless you're really fucking trying.
I gotta say, Squirrel, you pointing this out is really made me very pumped. That's all I want to say. There we go.
Okay. Never mind that all of the other stuff is kind of poking right around, is poking through here, and of course the textures are all going to be the same, but there is not enough difference in those two hoses to suggest anything other than a copy.
Now going back to Operation Harsh Doorstop for a minute. Now you have 95 in red with white lettering, and you have 91 in green and white lettering, and you have the explanation in flammable in the danger sign up above it, and it's like they're completely lazy with the retexturing too,
because they were. The one thing I will note is that the pump slot for the diesel is actually slightly to the right of where it is on the other picture, along with the little green tag. Because you can see more of the downstroke on the 9 here than you can on the other one.
Okay.
Very little bit more.
Now let's move on to the building of the gas pump itself, which you can see in Venatur in the background.
Venatur
In the background.
Venatur.
Now, this is Operation Harsh Doorstop. If you could plainly see the window with 4 bars, and you could plainly see the detail that went into the door, the open door, and the
window thing.
windows. And you could plainly see the other side of the building. The side of the building right there.
Right where?
If we go into the other game, you could see the same. You could see pretty much the same thing. The only thing that's different is the interior, and the fact that the building itself is retextured.
Now, the thing we cannot see is the corner of the building here. But if you're actually paying attention, you can actually see where the actual angle of the building as it comes together there in the middle.
Right.
And that's hard to replicate too.
Just so I'm clear, are you saying that what's on the inside doesn't matter?
No, the inside is different because they put different stuff in there.
So contrary to popular belief where people were saying, it's not what's on the outside that counts, it's what's on the inside. But this time it's the opposite, right?
Well, this time we're trying to get to a specific point. Yes.
I see.
So essentially, all the polygons are the same.
Now, I'd have to put my hands on a copy of the game, on a copy of Venatur. But yeah, that seems to be kind of where we're at with that.
Okay. The next one is going to be a little bit up for debate, but I still want to present it anyway. The bridge support in Operation Harsh Doorstop. Now, can you explain to the fine folks at home why the bridge support is going to be an issue with people looking at it at face value?
If you look at this, you can clearly see what it looks like. Okay. In the next slide, we have something that looks very much like it, but the lighting is such that it's going to be very difficult to make a one-to-one
Yeah.
to make any kind of a one-to-one comparison.
The 5 pixels I can see for it it doesn't paint it in a good light for me.
It doesn't, because you can look at the base of the one here on the left and draw a conclusion that way. But it's too dark, really, to get a clean view of the one that they were pushing off on the right. What they needed to do was pull back a little ways and get kind of the same camera angle. It's the same problem I had with the other side.
So ironically, this one doesn't support it then.
Huh?
Right.
So ironically, this one doesn't support the theory.
There is some support for the theory here, but it's not we're not talking about. It can be argued that it may not be.
Don't worry, I was just making
statements that likes to stand on.
yeah, I was just making a fun about the supports.
Now,
But
YouTuber Big Fry TV originally reported on this, and Blue Drake found out through Big Fry.
Through watching Big Fry's stream as he played.
Yes, and so Blue Drake emailed SEBA Games saying, "Okay, what the fuck is going on here? And you used my assets illegally." And this is the response that, don't get me wrong, I simply want to help you understand clearly what you are saying. I checked my computer and on others. I have no download reference or any other reference to your project or license. I kindly ask you to help me, to enable me to delve deeper into the topic and to carry out other checks. I'm talking about this project of yours. He links to the 08 Operation Harsh Doorstop mod kit. Can you confirm that the game objects you indicated can only be found on this project and that this project is yours? What I think your game is that your game files are finished in other projects, resident in the Epic Marketplace and redistributed after small manipulations in other forms. I cannot, in terms of Italian laws, provide you with the list of our purchases in the Epic Marketplace due to privacy, blah, blah, blah. However, I can assure you my full commitment and support in understanding the situation. He continues. The first piece I have advice I would give you for Operation Harsh Doorstop is to prevent downloads of game packages from the Epic Store by anyone who tries to access them without your license. This could be an excellent legal defense. Also, check the type of distribution of Operation Harsh Doorstop with the Epic Store. In my humble opinion, part of your license violates the terms of the Unreal Engine, the editor part, and the Epic Store for distribution. Don't get me wrong, your intention is just to become your friend, to understand what happened and not have difficulty with our game. If you don't like the solution, we're open to other solutions, and certainly not to those who are in positions of blah, blah, blah. Others could be economic and collaborative ones, I assure you, blah, 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 blah. Now, what's full of bullshit with this statement? So let's go back. Let's go back and analyze the bullshit in this statement.
he said analyze.
Analyze.
That's the butt of the joke.
Yes.
Now, he says that he has no reference to Operation Harsh Doorstop,
Lies.
but he links the mod kit. And then he says something interesting. Prevent downloads of game packages from the Epic Store by anyone who tries to access them without accepting your license. What seems to be the problem with that statement?
It's not a license disagreement, it's a copyright violation.
Yes. That's a place to start. That's
Yeah.
a good place to start, actually.
Yeah, what really struck me about this email is what if he actually had gotten the asset from somewhere else? It's then he would have been surprised and surprised that the assets are the same and tell Blue Drake where he got those assets.
If that were the case, though, why didn't he come up front? Why didn't he reveal the real thieves?
Yeah.
That's the bottom line to the whole situation. Why didn't he reveal who the real thieves were? And I think that's what the real problem is that as we will reveal later, he can't. He can't because he knows he did something illegal with those assets. Now, after Big Fry put out his video, and after Blue Drake revealed what type of assets that was stolen, Blue Drake got this email from Seba Games. Following your actions in the latest Big Fry video, my person is being slandered, and I don't understand why. I demand a public apology video with a apology from both of you toward me. I asked for a strike on YouTube for the removal of Big Fry's video, according to the Italian laws for the protection of privacy and slander. From what I know about Canadian or U.S. laws, there are equal laws. You have 24 hours to apologize to me before I proceed.
Okay, first off, you're using a copyright strike procedure for a
for a privacy concern,
as privacy offender.
Yeah.
Okay. Striking Big Fry doesn't do you any good. In fact, if you do that, he only becomes stronger. Okay. This guy is being an idiot. Yes, there are privacy laws in the United States to a point. There are slander laws in the United States to a point. However, in a slander lawsuit, you have to prove that this thing is not true. All they have to do is they need to be able to prove that on some level it is possible that what they said was true.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. That's U.S. slander law. Okay. Or excuse me, U.S. defamation law. Okay. Because if Big Fry and Drakeling here, or Blue Drake, can prove that what was said was true, then there is no defamation. And under U.S. law in almost every place that I can think of, not only are you now liable for dragging people through the courts, but you are going to wind up paying them for their problems on top of lawyers' fees, all legal fees. Privacy complaints to YouTube generally get short shrift. As long as you can prove to YouTube's satisfaction that you did not dox this motherfucker, there are no privacy concerns. Period. Okay. If you want to make a copyright claim, that's going to be a little different. But sooner or later, Big Fry's going to get his video back because you aren't going to sue him. I don't think you have the wherewithal to sue him. And it goes from no, I don't agree that there is no copyright violation to, oh yeah, here, fucking prove it, bitch. And
it's also incredibly hard to impose privacy complaints on behalf of a company?
Yes, that is the other side of that.
Yes.
Because honestly, most companies are public by the nature of the beast. Their information is public by the nature of the beast. And if they're after your if they've gone after your company, that does not include you. It does not. I don't know what the rules are like in Italy for that, but here you put a company together with the expectation that it will protect you from stupid people. It works both ways. As I might add, Digital Homicide learned in its fight in James Romean's fight with Jim Sterling. They learned quickly that they have to find a way to make it look that they had to find it. They had to modify their beastie, their complaint, to make it about digital homicide and not James Romean Jr. And that has not changed. You all
And
can
even
ask
then,
me-
and even then, James Romine Jr. failed.
Well, no. What happened here was that Jim and James came to an agreement where they both said, "Go the fuck away." They eat their own losses, and that's the end of it. Because frankly, at this point, what James Romean doesn't need huge fines and fees and shit. He needs help. The same thing happened with Alex Maurer.
Right.
They got Alex Maurer the help that they needed. James Romean, on the other hand, has been playing the victim ever since. And yes, I have discussed all of those. I have discussed all the lawsuits that James filed at length. Go check my channel later. If you want to see those, you're looking for a review of the developer Digital Homicide. And it will be found at the @ that is there on the bottom. That is there on the bottom there. It says @Crockersquirrel. Type that in, youtube.com/@Crockersquirrel. And you can just go nuts. There's a whole series dedicated to Digital Homicide there and all of the crap that they pulled, or that James pulled.
Well, after Sid Alpha released his video 2 days ago, there's been a little rumbling in the SIBA Games Discord. Now, keep in mind that what we're about to say is allegations at this point. We can't prove them.
All of this is allegations and shade going forward. Well, actually, it's all been allegations and shade. But hey, that's what legal work is 99% of the time.
Yeah, all the official legal terms belong to Blue Drake at this point.
Now, keep in mind, all of this is allegations at this point, but from this point onward, but let's keep this in the framework of, okay, let's assume facts not in evidence at this point. Okay,
Which you should never do, but we will this time.
According to a Twitter user by the name of Timothy L., SIBA Games was telling people on November 25th at 1:21 Central Time to stop talking about the asset theft on their Discord.
Which should raise all of the eyebrows. Repeatedly.
Which should raise eyebrows immediately. And And I thought, okay, that's interesting. So we waited a little bit, and not 24 hours later, SIBA Games removed a few moderators from their Discord.
Uh-oh.
I was like, you do not remove a moderator for no reason. And then I read that several of these moderators were actively speaking out against the asset theft.
Yeah, if your moderators aren't towing their line, they're with the enemy.
Now,
I have no comment on the subject yet.
now it came out this morning that I've yet to get a screenshot of it because I was wanting Sid Alpha to take the lead on this one. Now I've heard this morning that SIBA Games has abandoned their own Discord.
Huh.
Well, you catch that much shit.
And the more you know, as we wrap it up here today. Now, asset theft is surprisingly commonplace in the gaming industry. But to see it done in such a degree to where an entire project can be used as project confusion. It's just mind-boggling the amount of shit that game developers go through in order to protect assets from being stolen. And as I was talking with Blue Drake this week in preparation for this episode, I was like, do you realize how easy it is to rip assets from an Unreal Engine completed project? It's so mind-boggling simple that there's videos on YouTube that explain the process on how it's done.
Oh, yeah. If you're going to steal assets, that's your first stop is YouTube.
Yeah, tutorials.
Actually, if you're going to do just about anything, that's your first fucking stop.
Yeah, literally everything, to be fair.
Because somebody's already produced a tutorial for it.
Well, it's not YouTube's problem because the assets aren't being ripped from AAA companies, just the indie devs.
Oh,
Yeah,
no.
No.
No, you don't get it. Those AAA companies, they get the same shit.
Mm.
They're just a lot quicker to spot it and a hell of a lot quicker to take action.
To bring down a hammer.
Because they have a shit ton of layers that they pay very well.
Yeah.
Your average indie dev is more frequently stolen from because they don't.
Right. But the problem with free assets or any assets being used in a game is that you don't know where that asset came from at this junction. And in Operation Harsh Doorstop should be a cautionary tale to look carefully at where assets come from. I mean, we don't have a problem with assets being used in a video game. That's not the issue at all. The issue becomes, is the asset cobbled together in a shoestring budget manner, or B, is the asset stolen? And if the answer of either of those questions is yes, then be wary. If the answer to both of these questions is yes, then
You got a problem, and you need to deal with it.
You got a problem there, mate.
Yeah, absolutely. But if you're looking at assets that I may have procured, then snitches get stitches.
Yeah. Which actually turns out to be a far too common attitude these days.
It's a hustle, man.
Now, if you want games that use assets appropriately, then make sure that they use them in a legitimate manner. That's all we ask.
You with the hair.
Me?
You're going the other one.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
The one that was just speaking. If you want to make that claim, you need to define legitimate.
Okay.
In these terms. Go. Now.
All right. Now, legitimate is like using an asset for a placeholder, for example, or
That's
using
one.
using an asset that makes sense in a cohesive manner,
Or
That's what
something
we mean.
similar.
or something similar. That's what we mean by a legitimate use for an asset. Now, if you have, let's say if you're making the next Slaughtering Grounds, for example, and you use the Slaughtering Grounds zombie,
Which I might add, if you do not already own that particular pack of monsters, you have no legal way to obtain it now. There is not.
Oh, damn. I was just going to steal them.
Aha, I knew I had a copy of that.
now, if the asset is not bought legitimately, then you got a problem.
Yeah, the guy that made that asset pack, because it got so infamous for being part of that game, they took it out. The individual in question took it off the store completely. It can no longer be had. It just isn't going to happen.
Hey, Raz.
Yo,
Anyway,
Raz.
you just caught us as we were about to say goodbye.
We weren't really going to end, but then we saw you join, and now we're going to end. So that's how it worked out.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway, until the next time we see you for the smooth, beware, the tax man cometh.
Hello, folks. This is Morgan Freeman. This concludes our broadcast day. I'm Morgan Freeman. Good night.